We've been hearing about this term for a long time now. At least seems like it. But what is it? How do you get it? How does it work? Now, if you just bought an AI product and all it does is answer questions, it's not agentic. If it takes action inside your systems autonomously without being told every day what to do or without a prompt, it may be agentic. Now, does your procurement policy cover that? Here's 4 things you need to understand about agentic AI before your next budget cycle, which is about to happen. So let's get into it. Here's a misconception. We've come to think of AI as chatbots because that's the interface. ChatGPT or Copilot or some fancy chatbot that sits on your website, and that's come to be AI, synonymous with AI. But agentic AI isn't just a chatbot. It may be part of the entire agentic workforce. But if you're stuck there, if you just think of AI as a chatbot, as a chat interface, you're behind. Agents, a true agentic workforce, acts autonomously based on what they've learned, based on what they've seen, based on what you've taught it, based on the information it has access to, based on what it's allowed to do. Which systems in your organization can it access? Who can it talk to? What actions can it take? That's the kind of thing you need to set up for a true agentic system. Let's talk about agentic AI. So, how are agents different than the chat interface? An agentic workforce essentially means many agents working together to get your work done. So, there's multiple agents that can interact with your data, with your people, with your systems, including chatbots, and do certain tasks autonomously. So when a chatbot answers questions, an agent acts on those questions. Think about this. If I go to your website and I want to know when the next trash run is for my neighborhood, I can get that answer. A well-designed AI chatbot will give me the date and time when I'm supposed to get my trash picked up. But an agent can act on that, meaning I just lost my trash can. I need a new one. So instead of sending me to a human being to talk to or have me fill a form, an agent can actually act on it. An agent can take my information and take my complaint or my request and go do the thing. It can go into your systems and send me a new trash can. It's a game changer. So how do you get an agentic workforce in your organization? You have to start with low risk pilots. And I've talked about pilots before. If you don't design your pilots well, your projects are bound to fail. So starting with a low risk pilot, like document review, automation of accounting processes, scaling to 20% of ops slowly, and then taking on more is the way to do it. So here's the rule. Embracing agents over chatbots is the game. It's going to be the game going forward. Chatbots are a thing of the past. And my chatbot vendor friends will call me and say, hey, that's not true. It's really hard to build chatbots. I don't disagree. It's really hard because you have to teach every chatbot that's being deployed to any city or website or organization. It's got to be trained. So it's not easy. However, it's still not agentic. And I know a lot of chatbot firms or vendors are trying to build that capability into their chatbots. But again, it's an implementation in itself. It's a software implementation. So second point, I want to talk about some flashy use cases, right? That's what gets sold. That's what you buy from demos. Look at how cool this demo is. But let me tell you this, building demos in 2026 is easy. You can build a demo that looks like it's a working system in about 30 seconds if you have the right setups and prompts. But the business of government wins in boring tasks, right? As a citizen, I don't care how flashy it is. I want a new trash can. That's me, the citizen. But on the city side, you have compliance, you have audits. You don't want to be in the press. You want to have a big impact without making a big splash. And that's where you get the biggest bang for the buck, right? How do we take advantage of this agentic workforce or this opportunity in front of us to really upscale our game, to get over the labor hump we've all been facing for the last 5-6 years? We don't have the people to do the thing for us. People are retiring, people don't want to work. There's a gap in the labor force, and it's an opportune moment to take advantage of an agentic workforce. So I know of a finance team that used agents for 5,000 audits, cutting time down 70% and saved $3.4 million. It can happen. It's happening. How are you going to take advantage of it? Going deeper into this, routines scale best, meaning we've all talked about process mapping for the last 20 years in my case. Gosh, I wrote a book about it. What's a process map? It's you mapping out, you documenting, you drawing out your routines. What happens in the course of business or running your organization? When you focus on the mundane things, not the flashy things, the mundane things, cutting checks, running payroll, scanning documents, sending this document from this place to that place for approvals. The boring things that go on 99% of the time in your organization, those are ripe for efficiency, agentic workforces. So the rule is automating the boring to win big. And it sounds simplistic. And again, it's not easy to pull off because, again, anytime you're deploying anything AI, it's its own implementation. There is no such thing as plug and play AI. You have to train, especially agentic workforces. And if you've been paying attention, we now have the opportunity to build our own agents, right? You can get agents and agentic workforces from the big names in the industry, but building your own is possible through open source platforms like OpenClaw. I know it may not be the most secure at this point, but it's how you deploy it. So how do you take that advantage? How do you take opportunity of those features available, apply them to your boring, routine, mundane tasks? Because that's where most of your grunt work lives. How do you reap the advantages and increase your efficiencies multiple times? By thinking about automating your workflows. RPA, robotic process automation, is not a new thing. It's been around for a long, long time. But when we did RPA, historically, it means building the exact workflow. And I've talked about this in some video before where it had to be hard coded. The robot in that case did not have the intelligence to make decisions based on vague information. Anything out of the ordinary, it would break. The opportunity now is to have the same thinking about robotically automating your processes, but with an intelligence layer built in. To make all of that happen, you have to think about business processes. You have to think about building governance before, not after, you implement something. And that's where most of these pilots are going wrong because the products are flashy. There's a lot of money being spent by VCs and private equity firms on marketing these products to you. And I truly believe at this point, we're in a marketing race more than we are in a tech race. So the flashier product, the better marketing, the better sales pitch tends to win. But what people are missing out on or not doing is the groundwork. Building governance before you even think about going after an AI product. We've all seen examples of agencies deploying AI without doing any of the groundwork or setting governance or policy or practices on what actually is possible versus what we should be doing and how ready the products are. They're facing huge fines and losses for bias, for lost accounts, deleted accounts, you name it. Bad things can happen when you're not being careful about this. And in a lawsuit, when there are unexplainable things, it's a huge risk. And we all know this from working in the public sector that you can't have that. You have to be able to explain every dollar that goes anywhere in your agency. So the risk isn't really bad decisions. It's the unexplained ones. In government, lawsuits are bad. I mean, anywhere lawsuits are bad, but if you can't explain away something, it's a problem. So pre-deployment frameworks are more important than what product you're going to get. And we've talked about this in several different ways: governance, policy, business process. But simply, it's talking about phase zero. Preparation is really important before deployment. But setting the framework and the governance for even deploying a chatbot is extremely important. The next rule is that late adopters may lose. Early agencies that are on the cutting edge gain compounding edge because no matter what AI initiative you take on, you can learn from it. It's a learning opportunity. I'll give you an example. We are at Avero, we are implementing some agentic processes. And funny enough, when we talk about case studies on failed projects and how organizations don't have their ducks in a row in terms of data and processes, we thought we were perfect, right? When you start deploying agentic workforces or processes, you quickly realize how loose or not great or unorganized your data is, or how fuzzy your processes are. And that's just compounded to a larger organization. So you can be an early adopter and try to gain the compounding edge, but make sure there's a learning loop built in, that you're not just deploying half-baked products and AI agents across the organization. But if you get it right, you can cut costs by 25% while others chase the shiny thing. Back to my original point, doing it right from the ground up is a great start. Don't go at it because you saw a shiny product at some conference. You don't govern after failure. You govern before you get on this path. Invest now in setting an IT strategy, an overall technology strategy, a roadmap, part of which is AI, not the other way around. And investment also means training staff. Now, the misconception in training has always been that there's going to be a classroom. Someone's going to send me a book. Somebody's going to sit me down, tell me how to use ChatGPT. We've seen this through the evolution of the iPhone, right? The product was designed to be foolproof. It was designed to be intuitive. It was designed to be useful without having a booklet, a 200-page manual to show you how to use it. When was the last time you saw a manual for an iPhone? I've had the iPhone since 2007. I had the first one, came with no manual. The intent of the design was that it just works, that you figure it out, that it's so intuitive that you figure it out. And we're in this phase now where we have the chat interface, which we've all been used to from the days of AOL. It's familiar. Talking to an agent or a chatbot that's AI is really easy. But in an agentic workforce, you don't even have an interface. If you've set it up right, the agent is going to do the work for you in the back end. All you'll see is the result or the exceptions. So how does that impact training? How do you train people on using an agentic workforce? It's slightly different. It also depends on what level of agentic workforce are you going to use? How many processes? What processes are you going to replace? Are they going to be human triggered? Are they going to be process triggered? All of that happens when you document your current processes and really think about how you're going to do business in the future, the near future, using an agentic workforce. So here's the rule. Leading with agentic AI is going to be really important. But if you don't want to be a follower, you have to start thinking about your processes. Which of your processes are low-hanging fruit? What takes a lot of manual work that shouldn't take a lot of manual work? What processes of yours involve copying and pasting, or making copies, or sending emails with PDFs that get printed, signed, and emailed back to you? Those are the things that can be really automated. So to recap, we need to embrace AI agents. And what that means is it really depends on what your organization is trying to do. The tools are out there. The Lego bricks exist, but they come with no instructions. They are really going to do what you want them to do, how you train them to act. So where you would start is automating boring, governing before, and leading early. So the point I'm trying to make by saying all of this is that A, chatbots are not agentic. Chatbots is just the beginning of the agentic AI revolution. Think of all of your processes being run automatically with the right guardrails, with the right governance, with the right policy, with the right thought process. Why do you want to do agentic workforce management? In the future, you will talk about your workforce in terms of how many humans and how many agents do we have. You're going to have your major software vendors selling you agents. There'll be marketplaces for agents. So the next time you think about staffing a position, really think about what it's going to take to automate that position. And I know it sounds horrible, but that's where we are. The tools available to us today can really help you do things more efficiently, more economically, and it's a lot of fun to watch a piece of software just do the work that's taken hundreds of hours before, that you've paid people millions of dollars for. It just happens if you do it right. And if you want to learn more about how to set up an agentic workforce, or how to start thinking about it, what should the strategy be? What's governance around it? Give us a shout. We are here thinking about these things all the time. Believe me. Thank you.